Yo, 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 yo. This is market analysis June 17th, June till June 21st for dollar, MNQ, NASDAQ, and ES. Let's get right into it. So it's like a weekly outlook. All right. So usually whenever I break down my market outlooks, I am usually on the higher time frames to see what's happening on the higher time frames, just to see the overall narrative per se, like the storyline. So last week we did come into a weekly. We retapped a weekly FEG and notice how we have a strong reaction at the consequent encroachment of the weekly um, fair value gap. So that's something to note. And we had a strong closure this week as well. This week we came back into the daily FEG that's within this weekly candle's body. So there was a daily FEG right here within that weekly time frame. Within that weekly candle, sorry. And prices are now respecting that. And last week was CPI, PPI, and FOMC. So I did want to see us respect this fair value gap if we're gonna be bullish, and now we're coming back into the weekly inversion fair value gap. And just based off looking at this previous weekly candles, what can we expect for prices to take? Are prices gonna take out this low, or is prices gonna take out this high? And by now we should have said, previous weekly high. And we go into the lower time frames, such as the daily, 4 hour, 1 hour, in relation to the weekly time frame. So on the daily time frame, it looks like we have, like I said, we have a fair value gap, but we didn't create a displacement on the we didn't create a fair value gap away from this daily FEG. So we can go on to the lower time frames, such as the 4 hour, to see if there's any fair value gaps. So we do have this 4 hour fair value gap right here that I did note. Oh, this is a 4 hour. This right here is a 4 hour FEG. And if we are bullish, we should respect this 4 hour FEG, or we might have to retap back into this daily FEG. So if we show respect to the 4 hour FEG, it should something like play out like this. Or if we trade through the 4 hour and we create a distance inversion, then we can come back into this daily FEG, and we'll see what prices wants to do from there. But just from looking at it, I am bullish on the dollar. We tapped the high of this inversion as of right now, and we had a little pullback back into the weekly range. I want to see if this is TGIF actually. So yeah, we actually had TGIF play out here. Yeah, we retrace back into point 2 of the range, the dealing range. And I have this like little OT here from this high, from previous month's high to previous week's low. So I do want to see how we react at this OT. If we displace lower, if we close below this daily FEG on the daily time frame, then that would indicate for me that we are bearish. But as of right now, we are not closing. We actually are respecting this daily FEG. Like, notice how the candles are closing. We don't close below it. We are closing within it, and then we had it move back up on Thursday and Friday. So like I said, if we are bullish, we should respect this 4 hour, or we might actually retrace back into the daily. So yeah, like I said on the PowerPoint, we need to continue to show respect to the daily FEG if we stay bullish. Just looking at how the weekly candle closed, I can anticipate for us to take out previous weekly high. So that's my weekly objective. My weekly objective is to take out previous weekly high and quite possibly um, a closure above the daily fair value gap of some sort, and yeah, we'll see based on there. So with the Dixie going higher, we should see NQ and ES lower, right? But that is not the case for this week. We actually are going higher as well. So NQ and ES are moving in tandem with the dollar, which is, you know, how do I? It's not expected, not expected, or not expected. Sorry. It shouldn't happen. It shouldn't. Dixie dollar. Dixie NQ and ES should be moving inversely. So NQ and ES should be moving inversely compared to the dollar, but that is not the case. And let's see, we have done so on NQ. We had a really strong push up last week on CPI, PPI, and FOMC. We are most likely going to take out this previous weekly high, and we have created a daily fair value gap, and we have also had SMTs at these lows here with ES. So now we're generating sell side liquidity here. So if we do get a displacement back into this range or something like this happen next week, take out the high, and then we displace back into the range. This daily fair value gap will become this daily FEG here will become a target for me as of if we displace back into the range. And displacement, when I say displacement, I mean fair value gaps with alongside narrative as well. So, and it is basically the second half of the monthly candle. So we can basically, I tend to see this where like half of a hourly candle with that 30-minute cycle reversals could happen. So who knows, maybe AQ and ES will start following, will start respecting Dixie's movement and continue lower. But as of right now, I am bullish, and I'm expecting for prices to take up previous weekly high. After we take out previous weekly high, then I will only be trading internal models, just lower time frames. So we are continuing to expand higher on NQ. We created another daily fair value gap. However, we did not actually retrace back into it compared to ES, which is why I noted out this SMT. And because we didn't retrace back into this daily fair value gap, I could assume that was the manipulation, and that NQ is a stronger pair when in comparison to ES. All right. This week's objective would be to take out previous weekly high and create new all-time highs, and from that point on, I would move onto the daily 1 hour time frame or lower for lower time frame objectives. Lower time frame objectives, or basically targeting London highs, Asia lows, London lows, New York AM session highs, New York AM session lows. I'm not targeting, previous month's low. I'm not expecting any, anything that's the higher time frame objectives, just lower time frames. And ES, basically the same breakdown as well on ES. So we are continuing higher. We had a pretty strong bullish closure on ES. So like I said, we retraced back into this daily FEG here, and we had a pretty strong bullish closure. And this closure to me will indicate that we will most likely take out previous day high and could be targeting previous weekly high as well. Just looking at the ES chart. So like I said, whenever we respect the consequent encroachment of a fair value gap, new day opening gap, new week opening opening gap or RTH gap, whenever we respect that, so like I said, like in this example here, we respected the consequent encroachment of this BSI, this buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiency. So we respected that and we displaced higher. And on the daily time frame, notice this wick. Are we gonna take out this previous daily high or this previous daily low? This high, of course. So I'm gonna mark that with a green line. We're gonna take out this. We're gonna take out the high, and we go into the lower time frames to see any supporting PD arrays that could support prices to go up higher. And my PD array of choice is the fair value gap. So I like using fair value gaps. It indicates for me, it helps me decide, okay, hey, we have a lot of strength. If we retrace back into here and we haven't taken out the objective yet, we should retrace back into that fair value gap and take out the objective. So for me, this weekly objective on ES is probably going to be previous weekly high, and we'll see how we trade from there. Will we not take out previous weekly high and we retrace back into the range? Like I said, displacement is fair value gap. So we create a fair value gap, we retrace back into it and continue lower, or you know, what would we do? So we can anticipate for prices to take out previous weekly high just based on the weekly power of 3. So weekly power of 3. What I mean by that, looking at this, how this candle closed right here, this candle, are we gonna most likely take out this candle's high or this candle's low? This candle's high, of course. So the green marks what I'm basically targeting, my objective for this upcoming week. So I'm going to target the previous weekly high, and after we take out previous weekly high, I'm going to go on to the lower time frames, just like I said on NQ, and base my trades off the lower time frame objectives. Like I said, being London lows, London highs, Asia lows or highs, etc. Even 4-hour highs. So it's fractal. Prices is fractal is basically what I'm trying to say here. Yeah, so we are seeing higher prices at NQ, ES, and dollar, which should not be occurring unless there's manipulation in this market, and I believe the markets right now are highly manipulated. This is election year, so yeah, we'll see a lot of strange occurrences in the market. What I am worried about on ES is that we do not actually have any FEGs on the lower time frames in this daily candle right here. We don't even have a 4-hour or hourly FEG. That to me is not showing a lot of strength. See, like within this candle right here, I'm gonna box it. So within this daily candle, we don't have a lot of we don't have any strength displacement in that candle. There's a bunch of wicks and there's no fair value gaps, and when there's no fair value gaps, that just indicates to me, hey, there's not a lot of strength. And there's black candles as well, down close candles in this up move, and it's kind of giving off, hey, we're not that strong, we're retracing a lot, and yeah, so I would, unless prices clearly shows me its hand, and it creates a fair value gap here within this range, and then we retrace back into it, and then we haven't taken out previous day high yet, so I would expect for prices to tap into this fair value gap, take out previous day high. But if we take out previous day high before retracing, then I wouldn't even take this fair value gap. I would allow prices to see wait for prices to see if we react off of this. Maybe I'll go into the lower time frames and take an entry and have my targets at this high here, and then quite possibly reach complete reverse, bam. Okay, I just got sidetracked, but yes, Okay, so basically, yeah. Objectives for NQ previous weekly high. We're probably gonna take that at the Sunday Open, to be honest, because we're actually so close to it. We closed basically at the high. We didn't even retrace, and yeah. ES. My objectives for that on ES as well is previous weekly high. Dixie as well is previous weekly high. Everything is going up. Everything's higher, so I would like to know. Yeah, everything's going higher. So indices and the dollar are trading in sync, which is not a good thing. We want to see the indices trade inversely compared to the dollar, or the dollar trade inversely to the indices. I'm going to like to wait on the sidelines to see clear direction on the higher time frame. Other than that, I will trade based on the lower time frame models and have lower time frame objectives. If we displace, this is a big if we displace, and when I say displace, if we get fair value gaps to the downside and we trade back into the range on the indices, check to see if there's SMT. If there's no SMTs, then be wary. We might just be retracing. We're not actually going to be completely reversal, but an SMT on the higher time frames as of right now will confirm a market reversal. I don't know any markups on the I'm sorry, not on the dollar, on YM, but just take a look at this YM chart. This is YM right now, and this is NQ. This is the weekly YM chart, and this is the weekly NQ chart. Yeah, something is not right here. We are nowhere near all-time highs on YM. In NQ, we are at all-time highs. Not a good thing. YM, NQ, and ES should all be trading in sync, and this is a little bit interesting to see, but yeah, that wraps up my weekly market outlook. Let's check the news actually. So we do have some news throughout this week. We have bank holiday, I believe, on Thursday. So, not on Thursday, on Wednesday, and so Wednesday probably not gonna be a trade day. Probably just gonna be a sit down and watch, really see how prices trade with the bank holiday. But yeah, we do have rest voter news on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. So third week coming into this monthly candle, so we'll see what happens. Usually the third week is probably the more easier week to trade. Last week was quite volatile. We had 3 major news events, so we'll see if this week will continue what we did last week, or upright reversal. And with that, that's gonna be all for my weekly outlook. Happy Father's Days, everybody. Yeah, that's gonna be all for me.